29 days until the first game of the season. A month from tomorrow, we finally get the CBS NFL season kicked off. Our Bryant McFadden put together his playoff predictions for the season, and there are some real hot takes in here from BMAC, and maybe you could stack another Lombardi on top of that, because BMAC has 2 to his name. Some teams being left out of his playoff predictions. My guess is his Steelers were not.
Evan, do you believe in trends?
I do.
I do also. That's why I really like you. I believe in trends. And with that being said, 2008 summer, the Summer Olympics were going on.
Okay.
Right? 2008 NBA season, the Boston Celtics won an NBA championship.
See where
correct?
we're going here.
2024, the Summer Olympics is currently going on, right?
Jeez.
Who won the NBA championship this season?
The Boston Celtics.
So with that being said, check your football history. Who won the Super Bowl 2008 season?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's a nice trend. So you guys know where I'm going. You can say whatever you want to say about me. We come here all the time, and every year I like Pittsburgh to get into the playoffs. I like them to represent it in the division. But with those trends, I like the final game to be in New Orleans.
Oh, my God.
All right. Time to
Saucy.
put your money where your mouth is, BMAC, because we have your playoff predictions today, and in the AFC is where we're going to start. You love that AFC North. You love your Steelers to get into the postseason, as we know. Who's the one team in that division that you do not have in the postseason?
There you have it. There you have it right there, Chris. The one team from the AFC North that will not get into the playoffs, that will not make the playoffs, is the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know, I hear it. I'm hearing it right now. What are you talking about? They got Joe Cool back. You look at Jamar Chase. You got T. Higgins back in the lineup as well. Yes, that's likable. But when you look at the AFC North, I think this will be the most competitive AFC North division that Joe Burrow will see so far in his professional career, being a part of the AFC North. So I have the Bengals not making the playoffs because of 2 major reasons. Number one, Joe Burrow has struggled against AFC North opponents. In his outstanding professional career, he is 7-11, Chris, against AFC North opponents. I like that trend to continue, especially knowing and understanding, anticipating a very, very difficult AFC North teams division once again. And then when you factor in the health, can Joe Burrow stay healthy? I mean, you look at playing in the National Football League 4 years. He's only been healthy 2 years. And we know all about the season-ending injuries that happened the other 2 years as well. So those are 2 major concerns for me when you talk about Cincinnati, a very, very difficult competitive division, a division that has had the best out of your star quarterback in Joe Burrow. So can he stay healthy enough to be able to do what he's been called to do? So when you factor all of that to the equation, that's why I have Cincinnati not making the playoffs, solely because of the tough AFC North. And like I said, those AFC North teams have done fairly well against Joe Burrow.
Well, we are with a couple of those good AFC teams today, including the Bengals, including the Jets, who you have winning the AFC East. You have the Chiefs #1. We're going to circle back for your Super Bowl predictions in just a little bit. But let's go over to the NFC. And we had the first episode of Hard Knocks with the Bears last night. And you have the Bears making the postseason with Caleb Williams in their first season with that franchise quarterback. Why do you believe this team is ready to make the playoffs?
Well, a year ago, we saw the Chicago Bears, Chris. They won 7 ball games. 7 ball games. And they also had an opportunity to win 4 more. You talk about some of the close losses they sustained. I mean, this was a team, if they were able to finish certain ball games, they probably would have won double-digit games. But they won 7 games a year ago. This team right now, roster-wise, they're much improved. They're better on either side of the football than the team that we saw in 2023, along with better coaching. better coaching. So, yes, you have a young rookie quarterback under the saddle there for the Chicago Bears, but based on all the high-level players that are surrounding him, you don't need him to go out and win ball games. I think their defense will be an extremely stout, consistent group, similar to what we saw in the latter part of 2023. I think this offense, they will be well-balanced when you look at running the football and all the pass catches they have surrounding Caleb Williams. So this will be an entertaining year, barring a great slate of health, a good slate of health. I have the Chicago Bears getting into the playoffs based on all the key components that I mentioned. Outstanding cast of offensive guys surrounding a young quarterback. And when they acquire Montez Sweat, their defense changed dramatically. I think we will continue to see the same things in 2024 for their defense. And because of that, yes, I got the Bears bear down getting into the playoffs.
And you saw the odds, the Bears minus money to get into the playoffs, minus 110. But how about a team that's plus money, almost 2-1 to get in? Why do you like the Seattle Seahawks so much under Mike McDonald, who came over from Baltimore as the DC?
Well, you talk about plus money, Chris, there's a lot of juice in that orange, man. And the reason why I like Seattle to potentially get back into the playoffs is because they have a very, very talented roster, a roster that a lot of people are not talking about. Of course, when you look at when they play in the playoffs in 2022, a lot of their key components on the offensive side were rookies. Kenneth Walker, Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, all young players. Tariq Woodland on the defensive side, all young players. They missed the playoffs a year ago. But if you factor in having more experience on the offensive side, not to mention, look at the talent they have. When you talk about Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, DK Metcalf, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker, a very, very experienced offensive line compared to years ago, along with a healthy Geno Smith just managing the system. I think this is a team that could sneak into the playoffs similar to what we saw with the Rams in 2023. Remember, no one really thought the Rams could get into the playoffs, but they found their stride at the right time, and guess what? They found a seat in the tournament. I think the same things could happen for the Seattle Seahawks. And lastly, for me, Mike McDonald is the new coach for the Seattle Seahawks. If you know anything about his coaching, defense, defense, defense. They're going to be an attacking unit similar to what we saw with him while in Baltimore. I think the same things will factor into the Seahawks defense and making them become very, very successful along with all the nice personnel pieces they have in place. So yes, plus money right now. I really like the Seahawks chances, especially, like I said, being healthy. I think they have the personnel to do so along with the coaching.
All right, let's get to the teams that you don't have in, the teams that many expect to be in. We already hit on the Bengals. There were no Dolphins in the AFC. And in the NFC, we just saw Eagles win the division. You think no Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. Why are you so low on the Cowboys, who are bringing back basically the same team they had last year?
Well, they're not totally bringing back the same team from a year ago. Offenses, on the offensive side, yes, most of the guys are returning, but they're losing some pieces on the defensive side. And that's why I have the Cowboys missing the playoffs, because the team a year ago, I think they were a better team personnel-wise than what they currently have in 2024. When you look at the offseason moves or the lack thereof, every other team in the division got better. Best case scenario for the Dallas Cowboys, they're a stagnant team when you look at personnel. Best case scenario, I feel like they took a step back if you're asking me. But then when you look at some of the distractions they're dealing with, money, money, money. So many money distractions is circulating this ball club. I think that will play into the on the football field success or the lack thereof. When will CeeDee Lamb get into camp? Will he miss any significant time? And when he gets into camp, how long will it take for him to get acclimated to this offense? How long, even though it's the same offense, how long will it take for him to get acclimated to being on the field with the guys and get it in football shape? I think those things could factor into the equation when it comes to the postseason expectations for the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a talented team. But to my point earlier, when you look at the team they had a year ago, I think that team in 2023 was better. Not to mention you had Dan Quinn, who was orchestrating the defense, a very, very opportunistic defense that was creating havoc to opposing offense, and most importantly, creating turnovers. So I think this could be that year where we won't see the Cowboys in the playoffs. And if that's the case, it's going to be a lot of pieces being moved. it's safe to say, in Dallas.
Could be a total sea change there if that happens. Tony Pollard, a big name on offense that's no longer there with the Titans now. So let's get to your Super Bowl matchup. Now, you had the Chiefs as the 1 seed in the AFC. You had the Niners as the 1 seed in the NFC. But we played your video with Evan Washburn there saying that you believe in trends, and like in 2008, you think since the Celtics won the NBA championship and we had the Summer Olympics that the Steelers are going to be there. Are you going to back that up here, or are you going to shy away?
Well, you know what? For sake of argument, it's about entertainment, right? So I won't be predictable when it comes to this segment, Chris. I know you think you know me. You know where I'm going. No, I'm not turning right. I'm turning left. So with that being said, for sake of argument, I have the Houston Texans getting to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC. Yes, I have the Houston Texans. I don't know exactly what their odds are when it comes to plus money or minus money, whatever the case may be. But I have the Houston Texans, and here's why. I think right now, Chris, offensively, the Houston Texans, they have the most talented roster in the AFC, hands down, offensively, led by a second-year quarterback in C.J. Stroud. You talk about bringing in Stephon Diggs, along with what they already had in place with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. And then you add a featured running back into the equation as well with Joe Mixon. I mean, it was difficult to really slow their offense down a year ago, and they didn't really have a reliable running game. But if you provide that element to this offense, good luck in trying to slow them down. And then defensively, they have big-time contributors on the defensive side, guys that can put pressure on the quarterback. And because of that, they can make life a little easier for the guys in the back end. So I have the Houston Texans, man. It's going to feel like it's the rodeo in Houston because so many people will be fired up about what's going on when it comes to December football and January football. But no, it's not because of the rodeo. It's because of what the Houston Texans are doing on the football field that will lead to a fired up city when it comes to their fan base in the great state of Texas. They're in Houston. So yes, I'm not going the direction you think I'm going. Yes, I know what I said with Pittsburgh, and I do believe it. But for sake of argument, let me throw a wrench into this conversation. And if the wrench is the Houston Texans, man, that's a great wrench to have at your disposal.
Well, the way you had it laid out, they would have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the postseason, and you would have the Texans winning that and then going all the way to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. A splash pick from Bryant McFadden here, 1 month and 1 day away from our season opener on CBS September the 8th. By the way, those Texans are on CBS September the 8th against the Colts. CBS and streaming live on Paramount+.